The best performance you can achieve for Baldur's Gate 3 on PC with the best CPU and GPU combination. For the CPUs, we have the Intel 14900K and the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, and for the GPU side, we have the NVIDIA RTX 4090 and the RX 7900 XTX from AMD. Both cards are the reference model. Always, I will put a list of the game version, the drivers I used, and the test bench configuration. To remove as many independent variables as possible, I am using a manual fan and pump controller set to 100%, as well as maintaining a room ambient temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, using a duct fan to extract the heat from the room to maintain a 70 degrees Fahrenheit room ambient temperature. When I'm starting the benchmark, I'm using the same manual save point in Baldur's Gate 3, so I can start the benchmark at the same exact point in the game to remove as many independent variables as possible. Without further ado, let's get to the benchmarks. As soon as you load up Baldur's Gate 3, you have the option of DirectX 11 and Vulkan. I did a test run of testing both to see which one provided better performance, and DX11 provided better performance and was also more stable than Vulkan. Keynote, all my performance testing was done after patch 5, where they did do a huge 30 gigabyte update to the game where it increased performance. So all my testing was done after that patch, so it does include the performance uplift. Now this is very important, how I benchmarked Baldur's Gate 3. 90% of players are incurring performance issues at Act 3, which is about 100 hours into the game. So it would do no good testing the early portion of the game, so I'd have to get to Act 3, which I did for this video. And from my 50 hours of testing on top of the 400-hour save file I used, this was the most optimal area for testing to provide a pretty demanding scenario, but not worst case. Now, if you're new to PC gaming and you're wondering what is average FPS, which is the metric I'm using to show the difference in performance of the CPU and GPU in today's data for Baldur's Gate 3, the very simple answer is the bigger number is better. I would say 30 FPS would be the bare minimum you should accept for playing a game, and the most optimal and playable FPS would be 60. At 4K on the Ultra Graphics Quality preset, the Intel 14900K paired with the RTX 4090 is 4 FPS faster on average than the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, and when switching to the RX 7900 XTX with the Intel 14900K is 1 FPS faster versus the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D. At 1440p, the Intel 14900K paired with the RTX 4090 is 2 FPS faster on average versus the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, and when switching to the RX 7900 XTX paired with the Intel 14900K is 2 FPS faster on average versus the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D. At 1080p, the Intel 14900K paired with the RTX 4090 is 2 FPS faster on average versus the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D. And when switching to the RX 7900 XTX with the Intel 14900K is 1 FPS on average faster versus the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D. Now moving on to how much money you're spending versus the performance you're getting in return, which is my favorite part. I did all the math, so you don't have to, but I'll show my work on screen. As always, I'll just tell you the key takeaways. The key takeaways are spending $170 more money on the Intel 14900K when paired with the RTX 4090 at native resolution to achieve a performance gain at 4K of 3.4%, at 1440p of 2.5%, and at 1080p you're getting a performance gain of 1.6%. for a $170 increase in cost. Now moving on to the RTX 4090 versus the RX 7900 XTX. The key takeaway is you're spending $600 more money on the RTX 4090 when paired with the Intel 14900K at native resolution to achieve performance gains at 4K of 22.4%. At 1440p, you're getting a gain of 2.5%, and at 1080p, you're getting a gain of 2.4% for a $600 increase in cost. I hope this helped you if you're looking to build the best PC possible to play Baldur's Gate 3. This video is more for the people that wanted the best experience possible with an unlimited budget, but it also goes to show the negligible performance increase versus the dramatic increase in cost for how much money you're spending versus the performance you're getting in return in Baldur's Gate 3.